Hey there, we've got some big announcements today. Let's get right to it. All right, so first, finally, after being postponed a lot and eventually canceled last year, we are doing our marathon weekend for Extra Life April 12th, that's Friday, through Sunday, April 14th. So these are fully randomized games, continuing my campaign collection wherever it is in whatever state it's in right now. So it's going to be different content all weekend long. There's going to be 28 hours because I know we hit a a few stretch goals, extra hours in there from last year, and I owe you those hours. So we're going to make 28 hours of legendary this weekend in April. So one of the things that you'll be able to do is you'll be able to donate and affect the game. So in addition to all the other donation tiers that are there, promos, named cards, uh, stuff like that, you can also donate a few dollars to let me draw a card or play a villain card or play a horror or whatever. Um, there will be instructions on the donation page when we get there to that weekend. So you'll make a donation and a message will pop up on my screen with your donation telling me what to do. All right. So also that weekend, there's a new promo. Finally, we've got a new promo coming out. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is right now, but I'll tell you that it goes along with a commonly owned set, and so it'll be accessible to a lot of people. You can speculate and place your bets now, and then on April 12th, that'll be revealed. Also, during that marathon, we've got a couple of stretch goals right now, or milestones on the fundraiser. First one we've already hit, which is a best of the best game. I'm going to be playing a game. I'll do this at the beginning of the marathon. I'll be playing a game with a custom hero deck mixed up of the, or made up of the heroes that have the highest ranked cards on the Big All Top community. So individual cards going together in a mess of a hero deck where they don't have their whole set to rely on. Right? I'm looking at you, Gamora. You're normally really good, but if there's no card draw in here, right? Like there's Mockingbird at the top. There's no way for her to gain shield level at all. So that's not going to be a great card. Is this game going to be a mess? Yes. Is it going to be fun and crazy? Yes. I can't wait. Now, similarly, we've got a $500 milestone for the worst of the worst. So, taking the worst ranked heroes in the game and putting those in a hero deck. And at least I've got Recruit. I wasn't sure if I was going to find Recruit in here. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to have much attack. So, we'll see what happens with this. I'll play that game at the end, provided we hit $500 for the yearly total. We're already at 305, so I'm sure we'll get to 500 during the course of the weekend. I'm not really worried about that, so I'll get those cards ready to go. That'll be another crazy mess of the game. All right, so that's it for our marathon and promo announcements. But we've got a much bigger thing here. This will take a few minutes to go through. We are going to talk about our new league schedule. Okay, so a little over a month ago, about 2 months ago maybe, I put up a survey in a bunch of different places for solo league feedback. Right, like what do you want to do? How do you play? Those types of things. All right, and so first off, thank you to everyone who answered that survey. We got 59 responses, which is a lot. It's a lot more than what than the normal amount of people we see playing in a month. So that's really good. And so what I want to do is I want to go through and highlight some of the results here, talk about them, and then talk about how that's going to change the types of leagues that we have going forward. All right. So first off, I wanted to know what communities people were a part of. Now, the Board Game Geek community is way out in front there. And that kind of makes sense because that's where the leagues are hosted, right? Like that's where the threads are. That's where the community is for these types of leagues that we do. I did not post about the survey specifically in Bageltop's Discord because they tend to focus on two-player games, right? And we're talking about one-player solo. So we still got a lot of people in there. Then the two Facebook groups. It's kind of odd that there were fewer people in the solo group than the regular Marvel Legendary group. Okay, we got people from Reddit. Hi, Reddit. Upper Deck Discord has a much smaller percentage of people who are in there, right? If you're in one Discord, you should probably be in that Discord too. And then finally at the very bottom there, shout out to Dad for finding it on Facebook. Good job, Dad. You do us proud. All right. Next, we asked, okay, have you ever played Legendary with other players in a league of some sort? 57% of people said yes. And then I said, have you ever played in a league hosted on the Legendary League's website? And 68% of people said yes, which is weird because those numbers don't quite make sense in that order. But maybe these are people who are using the website for other types of things besides the leagues, right? Maybe they're doing adventure mode or campaign collection or just the randomizer on its own, something else without being in a group league. So if you're one of those people who said no to the first one and yes to the second one, I would love to hear some more insight on that. All right. But what this does show us is that there's still a third of the people out there, a third of people responding to this who, aren't participating in these types of leagues. So that's cool. There's room for growth. Okay, next. This is the big one, right? So what formats are you willing to play in? Right? So with a very narrow 1-vote lead, we have a base set with a few expansions over 2 months. Right? That's 44 people, 75% of our people. And 73%, so 1 vote fewer, is a base set plus an expansion over 1 month. That's our current starter league format. Then 37 votes. We have something for that's just the base set and commonly owned expansions. So that's more similar to the Back to Basics leagues that had been going but had recently ended like back in December, November, somewhere around there. And then half the people said I'd be willing to play in something where I get to use all the things. Okay, so that's cool. I actually would have expected that to be a little bit higher, but I can understand why it's not. Because there are like 40 expansions now. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of content. Not everyone has all that. Now, when we go to what would you prefer to play in, things switch order a bit. So our top place at 35.6, that's the same thing we got in first place up above. A base set plus 2 to 4 expansions over 2 months. Okay, so there is a desire for a larger league format. Next, we have all the content. So 27% of people said I would prefer to play in something that uses all of the content. Okay, so right there, about 2/3, maybe 60%, something like that, of responses say they want something bigger than what we have right now. 23.7%, that's the red wedge. That is our current starter league format. And then the blue wedge is 1 month with limited content, right? Just the most commonly owned things. Okay, so with all of this, with all these responses, with all this data, what do we do now? So number one, the starter leagues that we have right now are going to end with number 100 in April, because number 100 is a great place to end things. It's a nice round number. I didn't want to go to 102. You'll see why in a minute. But then in current Marvel fashion, we're going to relaunch in May with a brand new name. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. There are a few new league types, and they're going to rotate in a 3-league cycle over the course of a year. Okay. It sounds weird, but I wanted to say it before we take a look at the calendar on a very exciting background, okay? Because we're looking at a calendar and we need an exciting background when we're looking at a boring calendar. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You see the top half of the year, you see the bottom half of the year. And we've got a 3-league cycle on the top, and it repeats on the bottom slightly differently. Okay, so January, February, we are going to start with our year in review league. In the past couple of years, we've done this in December and January. I'm going to shift that back a little bit, January, February, so that everything just lines up better, right? And also, if something comes out in December, then we can use that thing that's in December. So year in review league, so that'll be all the sets that were released in the previous year, right? So for the people who are keeping up with the stuff that's coming out, we're going to have a league there that focuses on that stuff. Like I said, we've done it for the past 2 years. They're a lot of fun. Just to kind of get all that stuff that you just got and get a little more mileage out of it in a very concentrated fashion. It's pretty cool. March and April, we are going to have a giant size league. This is our new standard format going forward. So that'll be a base set and then 2 to 4 expansions. So it might be like we have 4 small expansions in it, or we have 2 large expansions, or a large and a medium and a small, or some combination therein, right? We'll feel this out, kind of figure it out as we go through the year and get feedback on that, on what a good mix is, and it could change from month to month, right? The number of expansions involved. And then we're going to repeat that cycle, except at the beginning of the cycle, in the back half of the year, we're going to have an unlimited week. So this is for the people who said, I want to play with all the things. In July and August, you're going to play with all the things. We're going to randomize with all the content, all the heroes, and have at it for 2 months, right? And then September, October, another giant size league. November, December, another giant size league. It is important to know that see that little note at the bottom corner there that says, for at least this first year, we're going to take all of the out of print sets, right? The big ones that people cannot find, right? That they haven't had access to and go for way too much money on eBay. We're going to pull those out of the rotation. So no X-Men, no Civil War, Captain America, Secret Wars 2, maybe. I need to check on that. I think that's the one that's out of print and harder to find. Now, that means in the Unlimited League, they're not going to be included in the randomly generated content, right? So the stuff that's already set up in the match. So we're not going to have any schemes from those sets or masterminds or heroes or villains. But if people want to use those heroes, they can use those heroes. So it'll be an interesting way to, it'll be an interesting experiment to see, okay, how much of an impact does the hero choice have there? Right? And what I may do for that Unlimited League on the first one is have the pre-generated content focused on more commonly owned sets. Maybe. We will see. If you want to have a say in that, leave a comment below, right? All right. In addition to that, we have, so for all of these, there are going to be 6 solo matches over a 2-month period, right? One of the big reasons for that is a lot of the people said time is a factor in what I can play and how often I can play. So with the starter leagues, we always had 3 matches over a full month, and they're posted up front, so you can play up front, you can play at the end of the month, you've got an extra week to catch up if you need to, you can squeeze it in, right? You can get those matches in at your own pace. Now we've got 3 more matches, but we've got 2 extra weeks now, right? Maybe 3, depending on the time of the year. 6 matches over 8 or 9 weeks. I hope that'll still work for people, that they'll still find that they have the time to get everything done, whether it's up front or at the end or in the middle, whatever works for you, that's fine. It's your pacing, right? It just comes down to, are you finishing up at the end of the year, or at the end of the year, at the end of the league. So in addition to all that, we've got the Extra Life logo on April and on November. Those are marathon months. So we are going to have our marathon in April of this year, and then Giant Size League starts in May. Then I'll have another marathon back in November for the regular end of year game day, like I've had over the past few years. And then going forward in April, when we get to Tabletop Weekend again, it may be it may be a smaller marathon. It may be something bigger. I don't know. We'll see. Depends how tired I am when we get to April. And then in October, we've got our Buffy League. It is not October without a Buffy League. So I think this will be year number 8, I think. I love Buffy. It's such a fun set. So all that stuff starts in May. But we're not done, okay? If we go back to this and we take a look, right, at the top section, our very close second place and our third place wanted smaller league formats, right? And a lot of people said that they're willing to play in something with a smaller collection. If you look at the bottom, there's that blue wedge of people who only want to play in things with a smaller collection. So I reached out on Board Game Geek and said, does anybody else want to run interested in running any leagues? Real Danielle jumped on that. We talked about the survey results, and I talked about the cycle, right? That cycle of 3 leagues that repeated over the course of the calendar, and talked to him about it, and he's on board. And so if we go back here now, starting in April, so next month, just a couple weeks from now, he's going to be starting the Core Values Leagues. And so this uses more of the starter league format, where we have 3 matches over a course of 1 month. And let's take a look at his cycle here. So you're going to start a cycle in April. It's going to have your core set only, right? So it's just the base set. So if you only have a base set, right, every 3 months, there is a league for you, right? It's consistent. And then in May, so the next month after, it's going to be a core set plus a commonly owned expansion. So most people are going to be able to play in those first 2 leagues, right? Month 1, month 2, and then in June, our 3rd month, that 3rd league in the cycle is going to be more like the starter leagues, where it's a core set plus any available expansion, right? So it might be New Mutants, it might be Noir, it might be Shield, it could be World War Hulk, right? Something chosen by a league winner. And then we're going to repeat that 3-month cycle throughout the year 4 times. Okay. In addition to that, he's also going to be posting 1 and 2 player setups for these. So when we looked at the communities, right, Bagel's community pretty much does 2-player solo, right? Two-player games or two-handed solo setups, and they've got their randomizer formats. Their leagues are going to be running over 3-month cycles, right? They are running a full league over 3 months, 4 times a year. And so they'll have randomizer A and randomizer B, where B uses a smaller selection of sets, but there's no guarantee that, that everybody is able to play in each of those matches. So what Dan wants to do here is set up small monthly 2-player leagues in the same kind of pattern. Okay, so you can absolutely still go play in the stuff that Bagel has, and then you can also play in these. These are just going to be shorter, cycled, and you can do the same thing, right? Like, it's not a week at a time. You can play all 3 of these on a weekend if that's the way you want to do it. And again, all those out-of-print sets are going to be excluded for that first year. All right, so that's our pattern going forward. Now, these leagues are going to evolve a little bit over the course of the year into next year, and it's all based on your feedback, right, and how we see things going. So if we get into this and you want to provide feedback, do it, please. join the BGG threads, leave a comment there, send a message to whoever's running your league that you want to participate in, or leave a comment on the videos that I'm putting here, right? I'm going to be having videos for the leagues that I'm doing, probably not for the purple ones, just because I don't know that I have enough time to do all of that. But leave comments where you can. Let us know, engage, and we'll see, like, oh, if there's a place where we need to correct, we can correct, okay? Whatever you have to do to let us know. But I hope that we will see more engagement. We'll hope see more people playing, because this is a great game and it's a great community to play these games with. We've been doing this for years and years, and I'm excited to see some change that recognizes, like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of content. Let's shake up how we're doing this. And so we can make sure that we have the right offerings for different groups of people, depending on where they are with their time, with their collection. And yeah, this is just, I really love this community. I really love offering this stuff to you. And so yeah, I hope to see you join up with some leagues in April and then in May. And until then, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for the support you've given to Extra Life and UVA Children's Hospital over the years. And we'll see you in April, April 12th for that marathon. All right? Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Bye.
I realized that I was different, that I was not like other kids. I had to get poked a whole lot. With Diamond-Black Fan anemia, there is only one cure, the bone marrow transplant. Finally found my match after 9 years of looking. I had finally been saved. Every single time that I've had a poke, prod, procedure, I've gotten a special bead. At the end of the day, you're raising money for kids like me so that we can play games and live a better life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I just would like to encourage you all to come back again.
Join us for Tabletop Appreciation Weekend.